Hi, friends. Kathy with Kathy Brown Nutrition here. Happy Wednesday. We are now officially 1 week and 1 day away from Thanksgiving, which for a lot of us is the start of the major holiday season. And this can be a stressful time of year, especially if you are trying to maintain some sort of healthy eating plan. And so then what are you going to eat on those big holidays that involve big feasts? And I want to kind of take away some of the stress around eating on those holidays. So let's get started. First of all, a strategy that I hear from a lot of people on these big holidays is to either fast or severely cut back on the amount that you eat the day before or the earlier part of the day of a major holiday dinner or feast. And I want to explain why that's not necessarily the best strategy. So, first of all, when your body doesn't know when to expect energy is the food that you eat. It tends to go into conservation mode. And conservation mode means it slows down any processes that aren't critical to survival. Some of those processes include digestion, metabolism. It'll slow down or stop producing some of your hormones, including those reproductive hormones, thyroid hormone. And these are all things that keep your body going at an efficient level. It keeps you healthy, not just healthy, but feeling good and feeling well. Now, those things that are just necessary for survival are things like breathing, your heart pumping, your brain. And so when your body goes into conservation mode, you're not really at tip top wellness level. Your body is just kind of like doing the bare minimum to stay alive. When you skip eating leading up to a big feast, your body is going to go into conservation mode because you've pretty much indicated to it, hey, we don't really have a lot of energy to give you today. And so the body has to use what you've given it, which is basically what it has stored. And it doesn't know that you plan to have this huge feast later in the day. And so it's like, we don't know when or how much we're going to eat, so let's slow everything down. So then when you do have that big feast, it uses only what it absolutely needs to survive. And then the rest of it gets stored for later because the body's kind of been given the signal of you may or may not get more energy later. So it's going to get stored. And the way it stores energy is either it stores those carbohydrates in your liver or muscles in the form of glycogen, or it gets pushed to fat. And the majority actually gets converted to fat because you have limited storage available in your body for glycogen. So a lot of that gets stored as fat. It's kind of like a funnel. If you think about it this way, when you have like a really big meal, it's kind of like a funnel. You've got this little kitchen funnel. Maybe it's like this big, and the actual spout part is only this big, right? So you've got a gallon of water and you just try to dump all of that water in that small funnel at one time. Only so much of it is going to go through the tiny little spout, and the rest of it's going to overflow. So that's kind of how your body works. Like it can't process all of that food at one time and utilize it as energy. And it's not going to necessarily store it in the form of energy. Your body's storage form of energy is that glycogen or fat. And so when you store as fat, that leads to weight gain. Now, one meal is not necessarily going to cause a lot of weight gain. But if you continuously use that strategy of, fasting to save up for one big meal, that could lead to weight gain. And not to mention the fact that it's going to make you really, really uncomfortable. because your body can't necessarily digest, especially if it's in conservation mode from fasting or restrictive eating earlier in the day. It can't necessarily digest all of that food very quickly. And so it's going to be really uncomfortable for you and could lead to some GI issues. So, what do? The best strategy is actually to nourish your body on a consistent and regular basis leading up to that meal. So, have a good solid breakfast with plenty of protein. You want to have, 20 to 30 grams of protein. If you are responsible for cooking the big meal that day, it might be a good idea to plan ahead and make something that you don't really have to think about the morning of. Maybe some overnight oats or a breakfast casserole. And that way you just have it there and ready and available to eat. So have a good solid foundation in your morning. If you're not eating until dinner time, have a good lunch that has plenty of protein. That protein is really going to keep you satiated and ensure that you have the energy you need to make it to the big event. And then when the big event rolls around, you're not going to be ravenous and you're less likely to completely overdo it. That overdoing it is really what's going to cause the discomfort and leads to storing that excess energy for later. All right, now say you're going to a buffet, or maybe you made the buffet. Let's start with that. If you're in charge of the food, just gotta make sure there's some good veggies on that table, whether something that you enjoy, because you still want to enjoy your holiday meal, whether that's a green salad, or one of my favorites is just fresh green beans sauteed with onions and slivered almonds and a little bit of olive oil with salt and pepper. And I like a little kick, so I add some red pepper flakes. It's super simple, really delicious, and those almond slivers make it feel a little decadent. But still very, very healthy. You're getting your fiber, you're getting your nutrients from those veggies. But make sure you have that there. That should be the first thing you put on your plate when you're loading up for your holiday meal. And this is regardless of whether you're in charge of the meal or somebody else is in charge of the meal. If somebody else is in charge of the meal and you're asked to bring a side, bring a veggie that you think you'll enjoy. But if you're not asked to bring a side dish and you don't feel comfortable bringing something, just kind of make a scan of the table, make a scan of the spread before you start adding things to your plate, and make sure to get something that has some good fiber and nutrients from vegetables, and put that on your plate first. And then kind of survey the rest of what's available on the table. Decide what are the things that you really want. And don't let, Aunt Betsy peer pressure you into trying this dish that she brought. If it doesn't look appetizing to you, if you don't feel like you want to try it, you don't have to put it on your plate. Just say, you know what, I'm going to start with these things first and then I'll try it after. And maybe at some point she'll forget about it, or you can just say, oh, I'm so full, I just don't have any space for it right now. Or if you feel comfortable telling Aunt Betsy, no, I don't really want that, then that's probably an easier solution. But scan the table, pick out the things that you really want, and start with those. Start with one plate. See how you feel. It's important also to remember to chew your food. Chew it so that you give your body time to process what you've just eaten and to really feel whether you're full or still hungry. And then after you finish that first plate, give yourself 20 minutes it takes about 20 minutes for your brain to register if you're full. And so, that's what happens a lot of times at like Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner or whatever it is. You put all of these things on your plate and you eat them all, and then you're like, ooh, I want to try that too. And you go back for a second plate, and your body hasn't even had a chance to realize that you are completely and utterly stuffed. And so by the time you're done, you basically need a wheelbarrow to get out of the meal or get out of the house. So give yourself 20 minutes after that first serving and see how you feel. And my last tip here is, a lot of people don't like to hear this because it's kind of like saying, "Oh, throw it out the window." But that's not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying here is enjoy your time with your family. And if that means having a piece of pie that you wouldn't normally eat on your healthy eating plan, then do it. There's something to be said for the mental health aspect of allowing yourself to have a little bit of something that brings you joy. And if you deny yourself that pleasure, and that's something that you never have, that's a one time a year thing, and you decide that you're gonna deny yourself that one thing on that one day of the year, that's a source of stress. You're going to be thinking about that after the fact, like, oh, I really wanted that piece of pie. And you don't want stress. This is supposed to be a happy time of year, a time to spend with your family, with your friends, whatever it may be, and really enjoy yourself. I'm not saying eat the whole pie, but allow yourself a piece of that pie, and really just take the time to taste it and savor it, and you'll be glad that you did. Obviously, there are some exceptions, health conditions where you can't have it. I'm not talking about that. Like, I'm talking about if you are denying yourself something that you enjoy for the sake of trying to meet a health goal. Those holidays aren't necessarily the time to restrict. You want to be smart about it. Like I said, have good solid meals with plenty of protein leading up to the big meal, so that you don't feel ravenous and don't feel the desire to just overdo it. And obviously there's a strategy to loading that plate. Make sure you get some sort of vegetable on there, and plan out what you really want so that you don't end up overloading that plate with a bunch of stuff that you don't even really enjoy. But I'm also saying enjoy. These holidays only come around once a year. So take that time to enjoy not only the company of your loved ones, but enjoy the foods that you don't get on a regular basis throughout the year. All right. Hopefully this helps to kind of alleviate some of the stress around eating at the holidays. Like I said, try not to starve yourself leading up to that meal. Have a plan. Have something available that's easy and you don't have to think about to have for breakfast and lunch if you're going to have a lunch prior to the big meal. And take care of yourselves. This is a stressful time of year. You are not alone. We all feel it from time to time. And so just take those moments to breathe. And if you're feeling anxious while family and friends are gathered, whether it's at your house or somebody else's house, take that moment to yourself. Go outside, go for a walk, go hide in the garage and do some deep breathing, whatever you need to kind of recenter and calm yourself so that you can go back to enjoying time with your friends and family. All right. I hope that you all enjoy this holiday next week. And I will see you next time. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a message and I'll get back to you. You can find me at kathybrownnutrition.com or in the Facebook group, Fit, Fearless, and Fed Women Run the World. All right, everybody, have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.